All right, so I think it's safe to say buckle up, everybody, because we are diving headfirst into this massive tool of cybersecurity news that you've all sent our way this week. AI jailbreaking, 5G branch security, dark web takedowns, you name it, we've got articles on it all.
Yeah, it's quite the pile, that's for sure.
It is. But that's what we do here, right? We help make sense of it all. So today we're going to break down, I think, some of the biggest themes that we're seeing and give you the need-to-know takeaways from each article. So you walk away feeling informed, not like you just got blasted in the face with a fire hose of, tech jargon.
Sounds like a plan. Where should we start?
Well, let's talk AI. This DeepSeek model that everyone's buzzing about,
Yeah.
it's being hailed as a major breakthrough because it's offering performance comparable to the big players out there, like OpenAI, but at a fraction of the cost. And it's open source, almost like it's the Sputnik moment for AI accessibility. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's certainly a game changer. Open source means anyone can access and modify the model, which could lead to, an explosion of new innovations. But like with any really powerful technology, there are risks.
Yeah, that's kind of what caught my eye too. Palo Alto Network's Unit 42, they discovered some pretty serious vulnerabilities in DeepSeek. They found that it can be easily manipulated to create some pretty dangerous stuff,
Yeah.
like instructions for building dangerous devices even.
Hmm.
That's a bit unsettling, wouldn't you say?
It is, yeah. It really highlights the double-edged sword of AI. Incredible potential, yes, but also significant security risks that we need to address.
So what can organizations do to protect themselves? I mean, it's not like they can just ignore AI, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely not. Ignoring AI would be like, well, I don't know,
Yeah.
like trying to swim upstream in a rushing river. Uh, Organizations need to get a grasp on what AI models are even being used within their networks, even unsanctioned ones, the ones kind of lurking in the shadows. It's like imagine trying to secure a building without knowing all the entrances and exits. You'd be in trouble.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense. You can't really protect what you don't even know you have. So step one, take inventory. What's next?
So, next, you need a solid process for evaluating and approving any new AI models before you just start using them, especially experimental ones or from less established sources. Don't just jump on the latest AI bandwagon without thinking about the potential security implications.
So it's about due diligence, not getting swept up in the hype.
Right. And finally, think about putting up some guardrails for AI models that are actively running in your systems. You can monitor, what data is being fed into the AI and what it's spitting out, and detect any weird behavior, and then block any malicious activity.
Okay, so it's a multi-layered approach. Know your AI, vet your AI, and then control your AI. That's pretty actionable advice, I'd say. Now, this whole situation with DeepSeek, it really makes you think about the wider world of cybercrime. And it looks like things are, well, they're getting even more complex out there, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, yeah. We're seeing a shift away from the smash and grab ransomware tactics that we saw in the past. Now it's about stealth and manipulation.
Mm.
Uh, Take this new Darkgate campaign that Malwarebytes uncovered. They're using something called ClickFix social engineering.
ClickFace. What's that? Is that like some new kind of clickbait?
Yeah, in a way it is. Instead of tricking you into, downloading a malicious file directly, they trick you into running malicious code. So they create these fake KPTCHA pages or traffic validation screens and ask you to paste in a specific code to proceed.
I see where this is going. So people think they're just proving they're not a robot,
Mm.
but they're actually opening the door for malware.
That's right. The code that they're pasting into the clipboard is actually a command line that runs PowerShell, which then downloads and executes the Darkgate malware. It bypasses a lot of traditional security filters that way.
So what's the takeaway for someone listening to this?
Think before you click and paste even more carefully. If you're ever, asked to copy and paste code to get onto a website, make sure you understand exactly what that code is doing. Don't just blindly follow instructions, even if they seem to be coming from a legitimate source.
Good advice. It's amazing how these attackers can weaponize our trust in those seemingly normal procedures online. Speaking of cybercriminals, though, there is some good news. Remember those massive cybercrime forums, Nulled and Cracked? Well, they're gone now.
Yes, law enforcement agencies from the US, Europe, and Australia all work together to take those down. And not just the forums themselves, but also connected services like the money laundering operation Celix and a bulletproof hosting provider called Stark RDP.
Wow. So a pretty comprehensive takedown then. These forums they were notorious for selling stolen data and hacking tools. How did they manage to pull that off?
Well, it was a long-term coordinated effort. They infiltrated the forums, gathered evidence, and then struck swiftly and decisively. It's a major victory in the fight against cybercrime.
Definitely a win to celebrate. Like you said earlier, cybercrime's like a hydra. You cut off one head and two more grow back.
That's true. And while this takedown is a significant blow, it's unlikely to be the end of the story. Cybercriminals are resilient and adaptable. They will find new ways to connect, share information, and continue their illicit activities.
So it's a constant cat and mouse game then.
It always has been, but this operation at least shows that law enforcement is taking these threats seriously. And by working together, across international borders, they can disrupt these criminal networks and make it much more difficult for them to operate.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get too comfortable though, let's talk about something that's going to, I think, fundamentally change the way we think about cybersecurity, 5G.
Right. 5G isn't just about, faster download speeds for your favorite movies or shows. It's a fundamental shift in how we connect and share data, and it's reshaping how businesses operate, especially those with multiple locations or, remote workforces.
And like everything else we've talked about today, 5G comes with, its own set of security challenges.
All right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. The increased speed and connectivity that 5G offers, it also expands the potential attack surface for cyber criminals.
Yeah. It's like building a bigger, faster highway, but forgetting to put up any guardrails.
That's a great analogy. But fortunately, companies like Fortinet are already developing solutions to address these challenges. Their secure SD branch platform, for instance, it combines high-speed 5G connectivity with next-generation firewall technology.
Yeah. I was reading about their new 40G, 50G firewall. It's supposed to deliver double the threat protection, but while using half the power of its competitors.
That's right. It's designed to provide, both the security and performance that's needed to keep up with the demands of 5G networks.
So 5G is a game changer, but it's not a magic bullet. We need to be smart about how we implement it and secure it.
Exactly. And that brings us to an important point about cybersecurity in general. It's not about finding a single solution that will just, solve all your problems. It's about taking a holistic approach, understanding the risks, and implementing a layered security strategy.
But we've talked about AI going rogue, cyber criminals getting craftier, and the 5G revolution. But it seems like even the government is getting involved now. I'm not talking about the SEC and their new cybersecurity disclosure rules. What's that all about?
Well, the SEC is serious about holding companies accountable for their cybersecurity practices. They've implemented new rules requiring companies to disclose any cybersecurity incident that could significantly impact their business.
So no more sweeping security breaches under the rug.
Not if they want to stay on the SEC's good side. These new rules they're aimed at increasing transparency and accountability in the corporate world.
And have we learned anything interesting from these disclosures so far?
Well, looking back at 2024, over 20 companies filed these disclosures, and the number one culprit, ransomware attacks.
You're kidding me. I thought companies were getting better at defending against ransomware.
It's still a major problem, even for really sophisticated organizations. We even saw companies like Microsoft and Hewlett Packard Enterprise file disclosures after being targeted in cyber espionage campaigns.
Wait, so even tech giants aren't immune?
No one is immune. These incidents, they demonstrate that cybersecurity is an ongoing battle, and everyone is a potential target.
Okay, so the takeaway here is that no matter how big or small your organization is, cybersecurity needs to be a top priority. But let's be honest, managing security can be a real headache. Remember those days of juggling separate tools for CM and SOAR? Well, it looks like those days might be numbered. Have you heard of XDR?
Extended detection and response. Yeah, it's generating a lot of buzz in the cybersecurity world right now.
For good reason.
Mm-hmm.
It promises to simplify and streamline security operations by integrating the capabilities of CM and SOAR into a single unified platform.
That's right. XDR offers broader visibility, faster threat detection, and more efficient incident response, which are all critical in today's rapidly evolving threat landscape.
So it's like having a single command center for all your security needs.
Exactly. Trend Micro, for example, they believe that XDR will be a game changer for organizations struggling to keep up with the increasing complexity of cybersecurity threats.
Okay. So XDR sounds promising, but before we get too excited about the future of cybersecurity, let's talk about something that might seem a bit mundane at first. Windows Group Policy.
Group policy. You mean that boring IT tool used to manage user settings and network configurations?
Yeah, that's the one. But Kaspersky experts are warning us that attackers are exploiting group policy in increasingly clever ways.
They're basically turning a routine administrative tool into a master key for cyber attacks.
Yeah, so
Well, by manipulating group policy settings, attackers can do some pretty scary things. They can deploy ransomware across an entire network. They can create hidden user accounts that give them persistent access, and they can even modify system settings to disable security auditing tools, effectively blinding the defenders.
wow. So they're not just breaking in; they're setting up shop and making it really hard to get rid of them.
Exactly. It's a subtle but powerful way to take control of a network.
Okay, this is a bit unsettling. It's like finding out that the seemingly harmless janitor actually has keys to the vault.
It highlights the importance of understanding how all the tools in your environment can be used, both for good and for bad. It's about understanding that security is not just about, patching vulnerabilities. It's about understanding how seemingly benign features and configurations can be weaponized.
So we need to add group policy to our list of cybersecurity concerns then. Anything else we should be worried about before we wrap up this part of our deep dive?
We've covered a lot of ground already: AI, cybercrime, 5G, the SEC, XDR, and even the unexpected threat of group policy manipulation. It's enough to make anyone's head spin.
You're telling me, but I'm ready for more.
Then let's take a short break and come back for part two, where we'll delve even deeper into the world of cybersecurity.
Sounds good to me. We'll be right back after a quick break. Welcome back, everyone. I was thinking about something you said before the break about cybersecurity being this constant cat and mouse game, and it really got me wondering, like, how do security professionals even keep up with all these evolving threats?
Well, that's a great question, and it brings us to a topic that's both fascinating and a bit unnerving. Cyber ranges, think of them as virtual battlefields where security professionals can train and test their skills against simulated cyber attacks.
Oh, so like a digital boot camp for cyber warriors.
Exactly. These cyber ranges are designed to replicate real-world attack scenarios. And here's the kicker. They're using live malware in these simulations.
Live malware. So they're not just playing pretend anymore. They're facing the real deal. That sounds a little risky.
It does sound risky, but these cyber ranges are built with multiple layers of security to prevent any of that nasty malware from escaping into the wild. Think of it as a digital sandbox where security professionals can play with fire without burning down the house.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. But why use live malware at all? I mean, what's wrong with just simulating attacks?
Well, the problem with simulations is that they can only take you so far. Attackers are constantly evolving their methods, and the only way to truly understand how these attacks work and how to defend against them is to experience them firsthand in a controlled environment.
So it's like giving doctors a chance to practice surgery on a virtual patient before they operate on a real one.
That's a great analogy. By training in these realistic cyber ranges, security professionals can hone their skills, test new tools and strategies, and be better prepared to face the real threats out there.
But how do they even know, like, what attacks to simulate? Are they just making things up, or are they based on actual events?
They're actually using real-world attack scenarios taken from documented APT reports.
APT reports.
Yeah.
Those sound pretty serious. What are those exactly?
APT stands for Advanced Persistent Threat. These reports document the tactics and techniques used by highly skilled and organized cyber criminals, often state-sponsored groups. They're basically studying reading the playbooks of the bad guys to understand their motives, their methods, and their ultimate goals.
And they're trying to get inside the minds of these attackers then.
That's exactly what they're doing. By understanding how these APT groups operate, security professionals can develop more effective defenses and countermeasures.
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see how valuable these cyber ranges could be. But let's move on to something a bit more concrete. I came across an article about the BSI, Germany's Federal Office for Information Security. They've uncovered something pretty unsettling, haven't they?
Yes. The BSI has issued a warning about a proof of concept exploit for a vulnerability in SonicWall's SSL VPN.
Okay. So for those of us who aren't, cybersecurity experts, can you break that down for us? Like what does this mean in plain English?
So SonicWall is a major player in the cybersecurity world. Their SSL VPN products are used by organizations all over the world to provide secure remote access to their networks.
So if there's a vulnerability that can be exploited, we're talking about a potentially huge attack surface, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why the BSI is taking this so seriously. This exploit could allow an attacker to bypass authentication mechanisms and gain unauthorized access to a vulnerable system.
So basically they could break into the network without having the right credentials.
That's the gist of it. Yeah.
This all sounds pretty bad. Is there any good news here?
Well, the good news is that SonicWall has already released a patch for this vulnerability.
Okay. So anyone using SonicWall products needs to update their systems ASAP.
Absolutely. This is a perfect example of why it's so critical to stay on top of security updates. Patching vulnerabilities is one of the most basic but effective ways to protect your systems from attack.
Yeah. It's like locking your doors and windows. It's not foolproof,
Yeah.
but it makes it much harder for someone to break in.
Exactly. In cybersecurity, even the smallest crack can be exploited by a determined attacker.
Okay. I'm getting the message loud and clear. Patch early, patch often. Now, we talked about group policy earlier and how attackers are using it to gain a foothold in networks. Is there anything else about this that we should be aware of?
Yes, actually, Kaspersky experts have uncovered even more advanced techniques that attackers are using to exploit group policy, and some of them are truly concerning.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of tricks are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, they can use group policy to manipulate system settings in ways that make it incredibly difficult to detect and remove their presence.
So they're not just breaking in; they're making themselves comfortable blending in with the furniture, so to speak.
That's one way to put it. They're essentially setting up shop and making it very difficult to evict them.
But how do they even do that? I thought group policy was just for managing, user settings and things like that.
It is. But those settings can be manipulated in very subtle ways that have far-reaching consequences. For example, attackers can modify registry keys that control security auditing.
What does that do?
It effectively blinds the security tools that are supposed to be monitoring the network for suspicious activity. It's like disabling the security cameras before robbing a bank.
Oh, sneaky. Yeah. I could see how that would make it a lot harder to track them down.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. They can also use group policy to create hidden user accounts, install malicious services that run in the background, and even modify the boot process to ensure that their malware persists even if the system is rebooted.
So they're really digging in deep and making it hard to get rid of them.
Yes. And it's all made possible by exploiting a tool that most people think of as harmless and mundane. It really highlights the need for a deeper understanding of how all the tools in your environment can be used both for good and for bad.
Okay. So So we've got cyber ranges, critical vulnerabilities, and the hidden dangers of group policy. What else have you uncovered in your cybersecurity research that we should be aware of?
Well, there's one more thing I wanted to mention, and it has to do with the human element of cybersecurity. We've talked about how attackers are getting more sophisticated with their technical skills, but they're also getting better at exploiting our own human weaknesses.
You mean things like phishing emails and social engineering tactics?
Yes, but it's going beyond just simple phishing emails. We're seeing a disturbing trend of attackers impersonating legitimate organizations to gain access to sensitive information.
So like a phone call from someone claiming to be from your bank.
Exactly, but these attacks are getting more sophisticated. Attackers are using a variety of tactics, including phone calls, text messages, social media, even deep fake videos.
Deepfakes. So they're not just pretending to be someone else on the phone. They're creating videos that make it look like someone is saying or doing something they never did.
Yes. It's a very effective way to manipulate people. It plays on our trust and our desire to be helpful.
It's kind of creepy when you think about it. They're
Yeah.
they're using technology to exploit our human nature.
That's what makes social engineering so dangerous. It's not about hacking into systems. It's about hacking into human psychology.
So what can we do to protect ourselves from these social engineering attacks? Is there any way to defend against them?
Well, the best defense is awareness. Be skeptical of any unsolicited requests for information, especially if they come from sources you don't recognize. Verify the legitimacy of any request before providing any personal information.
So if someone calls claiming to be from my bank, I should hang up and call the bank directly to confirm.
That's a great idea. Never give out personal information over the phone unless you've initiated the call yourself and you're sure you're talking to the right person.
And what about links in emails or text messages?
Be very cautious about clicking on any links, even if
Right.
they appear to come from a trusted source. Hover over the link to see the actual URL, and if anything looks suspicious, don't click on it.
Sounds like we need to be suspicious of everything these days.
Well, in the world of cybersecurity, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Well, this has been a whirlwind tour of the cybersecurity landscape. We've covered a lot of ground, from AI arms races to the hidden dangers of group policy, and now the growing threat of social engineering.
It's clear that the threat landscape is constantly evolving, and we need to be adaptable and vigilant to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. But we're not done yet. We still have one more part of our deep dive to go.
That's right. In the final part, we'll wrap things up and discuss some key takeaways from all the information we've uncovered. What does this all mean for you, the listener? We'll explore that and more in the next part of our cybersecurity adventure.
So stay tuned for the thrilling conclusion of our deep dive into the world of cybersecurity.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final part of our cybersecurity deep dive. We've journeyed through this evolving landscape of AI threats, the dark underbelly of cybercrime, and even those surprising vulnerabilities in these everyday tools that we use. And now it's time to kind of like take a step back and connect the dots.
Yeah, it's time to distill all this information into some actionable insights. What does this all mean for you, the listener, as you navigate this increasingly complex digital world?
Right. Yeah. That's the $1 million question. I feel like I've learned a lot, but but I'm still kind of processing it all. Sure. Well, let's start with AI. The emergence of these open source models like DeepSeek is really exciting. But it's crucial to remember that accessibility can be a double-edged sword. While it fuels innovation, it also opens up these new avenues for exploitation.
Yeah, those vulnerabilities that Unit 42 discovered were pretty eye-opening, to say
Yeah.
the least. It's like handing someone a really powerful weapon without a safety manual.
It is, and the takeaway here is that that organizations they can't afford to be complacent about AI security. They need to be proactive. They need to understand what AI models are running in their environments, and they need to implement safeguards to prevent manipulation and misuse.
So it's not just about embracing the shiny new tech. It's about understanding the risks and taking steps to mitigate them.
Exactly. And that brings us to the ever-evolving world of cybercrime. We saw how the takedown of Nulled and Cracked was a major victory for sure, but it also highlighted the Hydra-like nature of this threat. Cybercriminals, they're resilient, they're adaptable, they're constantly finding new ways to operate.
It's a constant arms race then.
It is, and while law enforcement agencies are working hard to disrupt these criminal networks, we also need to be vigilant, on an individual level.
Right.
Remember the Click Fix campaign? It showed us that social engineering tactics are becoming increasingly sophisticated. They're blurring the lines between legitimate security measures and malicious activity.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to tell the good guys from the bad guys online.
It is, and the key is to be skeptical.
Yeah.
Verify everything and think twice before clicking on anything or pasting code from an untrusted source.
Don't blindly trust anything that you see online, even if it looks official.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about 5G. This transformative technology offers incredible speed and connectivity, but it also expands that attack surface for cyber criminals.
It's like building a superhighway without any traffic lights or speed limits.
That's a good way to put it. But fortunately, solutions like Fortinet's secure SD branch are emerging to address these challenges. Combining that high speed connectivity with those robust security measures.
So it's all about finding that right balance between innovation and security.
It is. Now let's talk about something a little closer to home. Windows group policy. Who knew this seemingly mundane IT tool could be such a powerful weapon in the hands of attackers?
It's a reminder that security isn't just about these fancy tools and technologies. It's also about understanding how those everyday systems and configurations can be exploited.
Right. Attackers are using group policy to embed themselves deep within networks, to manipulate security settings and to create those hidden backdoors. Organizations need to be aware of these risks and take steps to secure their group policy configurations.
It's like locking your front door but leaving the back door wide open.
It is. And speaking of backdoors, let's not forget the human element of cybersecurity. Social engineering attacks are on the rise, with attackers impersonating legitimate organizations and exploiting our trust.
Yeah. The deep fake technology is particularly concerning. It's getting harder to distinguish between real and fake, truth and manipulation.
It is. We need to be more vigilant than ever, verify everything, and be very wary of any unsolicited requests for information.
Trust but verify.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are those key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. It's not just about what organizations do. It's about what we all do as individuals.
That's right. We need to be proactive. We need to stay informed about emerging threats, and we need to adopt good security practices, both at work and at home.
It's about being aware of the risks, thinking critically, and taking steps to protect ourselves and our data.
And remember, security is an ongoing journey, not a destination. The threat landscape, it will continue to evolve. So we need to be adaptable and stay ahead of the curve.
This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the world of cybersecurity.
I'm glad to hear that. Our goal is to empower you with knowledge and to encourage you to stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe in this ever-changing digital world.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.